What happened? Oh, there it is. Episode 10 of Uncle Ron and Stuff. And today it's thoughts. I don't know what thoughts, the form of thoughts that you have, but usually I hear myself talking in my head for thoughts. But there are also other thoughts. I'll have nothing in my head and something will come out of somewhere. And besides that, there are things I call like mental states. They're not feelings, which is another, I don't know, are they thoughts? Are feelings thoughts? I always assume they're, you know, up at the top of the pyramid of thoughts, down at the bottom. It's not thoughts like breathing. You don't think about breathing, but it's the brain stuff. I'm talking about brain stuff, but thoughts and conversation is usually, where thoughts come to play. And we're not very good at it as humans. We don't get taught anything about conversation and how to do it. And there is some now rules being applied to conversation, and that's a starting place perhaps. So you can't say certain things, and I understand that. I'm always tripping over borders and lines. But thoughts, it is interesting. When I was a lot younger, I could have sort of multiple thoughts at the same time, and maybe you still can do it. And now I find I can only maintain really one thought at a time. And if I try to do, like, a good example, I brush my teeth, and it's totally a repetitive, simple operation. But if I'm thinking about, the book that I was reading or whatever, and while I'm doing that, I finish the toothing, and I go to put the cap back on the tube, I'll pick up the wrong cap, or I'll try to put it on backwards or whatever. So I have to bring my focus, thoughts, mindset, back to what I'm actually doing. And I don't like that. I'm really, I lost it because I'm really old. Now, maybe you can still maintain two or three thoughts at the same time. I know did it at one time, but anyway, besides talking in my head, there are other stuff that is not in word form, and I think you probably know what I'm talking about, and I don't know what that stuff is. I have a psychiatrist I talk to periodically, and I ask him about, is this a feeling or a mind state? And I use the word mind state, and I don't know how to describe that very well, but it's not necessarily wordy. It's this cloudy sort of thing. I was talking to somebody recently, and they were talking about their thoughts and cloudy, and sometimes you have racing thoughts. It gets in a loop. You ever got in a loop in your head? It's really bad where it won't stop. You loop around the same thing. That's nasty and hard to get out of. The only thing I've ever found to get out of a loop is something physical, like whack yourself upside the head or something else. I had a problem one time where my head went, one of the times it was broken. I had like two 500 horsepower diesel engines. That's what I modeled it as in my head. And there were these giant, these things were just churning thoughts, churning. And they kept spinning up higher and higher and higher RPM, so the thoughts were coming faster and faster, and there were just two of them. And I was overloaded. I couldn't do anything. I was just crazy in this loop, and I couldn't break out. And thank goodness, I finally had to take a poop. And reality, the physical body brought me back to reality. I wasn't that far gone that I was going to poop my pants, you know what I mean? And so it broke, once that broke in that loop, then these terrible twin V12 diesel crazy running 10,000 RPM thought engines started to slow down, and they eventually came to an idle and disappeared. And I don't want that again. But anyway, that must be some sort of I don't know what that is, some sort of mind state, but thoughts. And when we converse with somebody, usually we're not really listening. I mean, we do, but if you're like most people, you're thinking about how to respond or relate to whatever that person said. And that interrupts the task of listening. And so you don't really hear or appreciate or fully understand what they're saying. So thoughts sort of get in the way. And it's not mandatory that you respond or relate in a conversation. I was slow to learn that you can just listen. You just hear what they're saying. And in communication theory, the only sort of information, which I got my hands on it right back here, the only way that something gets uh, information is passed from one another, if you will, is when there's action at the other end. It acknowledges it. If it's just going like this, nothing. But if someone's talking, which one? This one, talking, and this one's listening, then there's communications. But if the second one is also thinking about what to say, very little gets through. You know, okay, communications and thoughts and thinking. Feelings, I'm not sure. I was in a psychology 101 course. We had a book on psychology and I had a chapter on emotions, and they had listed all these things, and I go, I don't know what that is, like envy. Maybe I felt it, I don't know, but I don't know what to call it. And that was the case. We're not born. We have these feelings, but we don't have a label for them. We don't know what they're called, and we share a lot of the same feelings, apparently, like envy and jealousy and love and hope and I don't know. There's a whole big list. I thought about a periodic table of emotions at one time because emotions can be combinations of one or more separate feelings, and they're all sort of balled up in there. I think hate, which I don't like at all and don't do, but I know it has an angry component to it. Anger. And if you've ever hated, then you know there's an angry component to it. Anyway, I don't particularly care for emotions because I don't seem to have the reasonable tool set for those. Those are thoughts, I guess, but I'm not 100% sure. So, if you can maintain multiple thoughts in your head at the same time, good for you. I'm having trouble doing that these days. I used to say I was intuitive because I could think ahead, while I was doing something. I'm thinking about something and then I go and start something else automatically, not even thinking about it. I thought, well, I'm really intuitive, I know intuitive. It wasn't. I had like dual processors going in here, and but I can't do that anymore. And words, words in the head, listening. It is strange that I'll have thoughts out of nowhere. I don't know if you must experience that. You're not really thinking about anything or something mundane, and boom, something will pop in your head. I always, sometimes a name or person will pop into my head, and I always wonder if I'm hearing something through the ether of the universe, like something's going on in their heads and it's being communicated to me. And I know that's a strange thought, but I'm pretty sure it happens. And you may have experienced it as well. We don't get taught nothing about conversation and feelings and thoughts and how to deal with your thoughts and how to shut down loops. We don't get taught any of that stuff. And it's too bad. It's a do it yourself thing. How to manage your thoughts. 101 Idiot's Guide to Thoughts and Management of Thoughts. How to terminate thoughts. Feelings. Bad feeling, terminate it some way. Physical. The physical helps. If you're getting in a funky mood or something or other, you just whack yourself upside the head or hit your hand with a hammer. That usually will do it. Okay, I don't know what this is about. It's just thoughts. We don't talk about this stuff. I don't know why we don't, but we don't. Anyway, I think this is episode 9, and today is the 9th of December, and I'm lollygagging around again when I should be doing manual labor, but okay. Uh, two thumbs up. I can't do it. There are 2 thumbs up for the day, and this is Uncle Ron and Stuff, episode 10. And I got to use the mouse to shut it down. Until next time, I hope everybody stays safe and Merry Christmas.